Good morning from Eastern Oklahoma. Good morning, everybody. I'm Bear with preparedness.com. Today is the 11th of February, 2022, and we're going to do the brief. We're going to talk about inflation and food scarcity today. But before we do that, we'll do a brief, very brief world sit rep. Snafu. What a snafu mean? Situation normal, all effed up. This is, business as usual. It's not Fubar, which is effed up beyond all repair. It's not Bohica, but over here it comes again. It's not where we're at. We're just snafu right now. Situation normal. Russia is doing what Russia does. They're amassing BTGs around and in some cases in the southeast region of Ukraine, inside of the Ukrainian border in the Luhansk, Donetsk regions, also known as the Donbas, Crimean Peninsula, as well as Moldova. More ships inbound, like Russia is amassing for war. So, situation normal. China has not moved on Taiwan yet. There's rumor that they'll move post the Olympic Games. Maybe they will, maybe they won't. Nobody really knows. And all that intel is very likely the tail wagging the dog, because China's not going to tell people when they're going to invade. So that's circular reporting on leaked intelligence, air quote. Nobody cares about the Chinese Olympics. We talked about that earlier in the week. I particularly don't care. Apparently, some 15-year-old ice skater girl has been accused of doping. She's Russian, I believe, and that could cause an international incident. Don't care. I legitimately don't care because of inflation and food scarcity, which we're going to talk about shortly. Apparently, Hillary Clinton is thinking about running again. All of the reporting that the trash propaganda reporting, like drudgereport.com, every article on Drudge is just horseshit this morning. It's just there's nothing there. Like, it's all filler. The Blaze, pretty much the same. Although Hillary Clinton is reportedly expected to deliver remarks next week at the New York Democratic Convention. Don't care. Ms. Clinton, you should drive over an IED or something. I'm sorry, did I say that out loud? You heinous piece of shit. Let's see. From RT, costs of food and shelter and fuel in the U.S. continue to soar. We're going to talk about that in a moment. But generally speaking, the Russian propaganda that's out today from RT is more just filler. Olympic invasion possible, says the U.S. Dolly the dinosaur's likely cause of death explained. Shocking bare breast ad causes stir online. Like, guys, STFU. U.S. nuclear-capable bombers arrive in UK. Yes, we talked about that earlier in the week. S2 Underground talked about that earlier in the week. Like, it's just filler. It's blah, blah, blah. White House complains about Russian language and expression in English. So, all this to say, there's nothing terribly interesting in the news right now other than snafu situation normal, which means there's the potential for, hey, it's Friday, the Olympics are going on, good morning, honey. Everybody's going to go do their weekend thing, and then while people are partying on the weekend, wham. So, don't Donbas my Tennessee. Good morning, Ducks, Garner Effects. Thank you for the $5 bill, Ducks. So, all that to say, heightened state of alertness. Yes, heightened state of readiness. Snafu, situation normal, bro. Now, Bear Independent Brief 11/22. I'm sorry. 11 February 22. Prices are sky high, not just in the U.S. A whopping third of UK adults are having difficulty paying their bills. One man told the BBC that he gave up his car because he could no longer afford it, and without extra help from the Newton Food Surplus Project, his family would have had to choose between heating their home and putting food on the table. That project, Newton Food Surplus, takes extra supply from supermarkets and provides it for others to pay as they like. The project manager of the program noted, quote, many of the people that come here are in work, meaning they're employed, end quote. According to surveys, it appears that more than half of the population are skipping meals and forgoing heat in their homes just to make ends meet. The chief executive of Citizens Advice said, quote, frontline advisors are hearing desperate stories of families living in just one room to keep warm, people turning off their fridges to save money, and others relying on hot water bottles instead of heating due to fears about mounting bills. If it's not an issue of unemployment, economics, and it's not an issue of unemployment, economies around the world are suffering from inflation. Now, we're going to read a little bit more of the brief, but let me pause and comment on that. Fluff in the system is going away. This is something we've been talking about for a long time. The fluff in the system is going away. And so if you're barely getting by now, you need to get your poop in a group now. Now. Quit effing around. Quit twiddling your thumbs. Quit wasting your time. Fortune favors the bold, right? And so if you're just a cog in the machine, if you're just a foot soldier in another man's army, if you're just a peon, quit getting pissed on. Stop being a peon. Take personal responsibility and fix your life now while you can. Because the fluff is coming out of the system. It's going away. There is no reserve chute. There is no net underneath the high wire. It's going away. As we've said 1,000 times here, war is a game of resources at its most basic level. And that's why we see globally conflict ramping up, because resources are being diminished. There's less stuff. There's also the consolidation of liquid assets, money, to the upper crust, the top 1% of 1% in the world. We read about that, a couple weeks ago, I believe it was, that the top 0.1% of the world's population gained $3.7 trillion in wealth in the last 2 years, while the bottom 50% lost $3.9 trillion in wealth in the last 2 years. War is a game of resources. And they, the big they, to the extent that they care about you at all, don't particularly want you wielding resources. They want you being a good little sheep inside the pen over there doing what you're supposed to do. Your opportunity to break out and take care of yourself is, that window of opportunity is closing. So you need to un-F yourself now, today, and start taking personal responsibility for yourself. Because here's another reality. These food pantry programs and all that, which I think are excellent for people that need them. I have been so poor at times in my life that I have needed them. When the fluff comes out of the system, there's no excess to donate to the food pantries, which means the people who are dependent upon them don't have anything to eat. So you need to not be dependent upon them. And we're not even going to get into the, well, Bear, you don't understand, because you don't understand that I don't care. And I don't care in the most loving way possible, because I grew up so poor that I killed animals out in the woods with a rifle at 7 years old so that I had stuff to eat. We went to the church food pantries on the regular, all right? Like, I don't care. And now I own 4 businesses and operate 2 ministries. Shut up. Quit your bitching and excuses and do what you need to do, okay? So, next. In the U.S., empty shelves have been a common sight again in the last few weeks. The widespread winter storms spiking demand didn't help, but of course, supply chain issues are underlying the whole phenomenon. Many media outlets are pointing to the Omicron and the subsequent labor shortages. Labor shortages were an issue before the latest variant hit, and with policies in place keeping the infected off the clock, it's only natural that companies would be struggling to maintain their usual pace. The trucking industry was reportedly short 80,000 drivers before case numbers skyrocketed. Eater, the magazine, the publication, reported, quote, while vaccines have cut rates of serious illness and death compared to previous surges, wrong, bullshit, but nice reporting, Eater. Even employees with mild or no symptoms are advised to stay home and quarantine to prevent the spread of the virus, end quote. Workers involved in production, manufacturing, transportation, and even stocking the shelves are out sick, even if they have mild or no symptoms. These long-term issues are leading to permanent changes in the food supply system. The long-lasting nature of these labor shortages has forced companies to rapidly speed up automation to step in for the absent workforce. In the long run, this should drive down prices, but right now most families are seriously stretched by the basic costs of life. So let's talk a little bit about what you can do because of that. And it's really basic prepper stuff, but most people don't listen. To the extent that most people, it's been my experience anyway, to the extent that most people are into preparedness, it's so that they can masturbate online to folks that may or may not have any experience, telling them what they should put in their bug out bag or their closet so they can check the box and feel better about themselves. Or they can fantasize over the cool new thing, whatever that cool new thing may be. But Bear, you have lots of cool new things. I do. I also have no debt, and I have a good income, and I already live out in the country, and I have savings for my children. So I can buy a cool axe if I want to. Praise the Father. So, all that being said, inflation. What do we do about inflation? Invest in tangible assets. Let's start with that. Invest in tangible assets. Tangible assets. This is not planned. This is just my life. Tangible assets. Okay? Well, what happens when they shut up? Well, what about stop? Excuses or lies. Invest in tangible assets. Well, what about crypto? Going to be regulated by the federal government in the United States of America. Your digital wallet, somebody can delete that. No, it's on the blockchain. It's on 9,000 computers all at the same time. And NFTs aren't hackable either, right? Oops, yeah, they are, and they can be copied. I don't believe any of that shit. Also, even if your wallet's not hacked, what happens if it's the worst prepper fantasy ever, the EMP, and all your money's in ones and zeros? I don't like crypto for that reason. Invest in tangible assets. Land, tangible asset. If you have any medical issues, get them taken care of now. If you need to have a knee replacement, do the knee replacement now. Spend the money, do it now. Right? If you, whatever, any elective surgery, LASIK for your eyes, whatever, do it now. Fix your vehicles, do that now. If you can stockpile, if you have the money to stockpile tangible goods, then you should do that. But invest in tangible assets and pay down your debt. Pay down your debt. Well, when the economy crashes, nobody's going to be collecting debt. No. Have you researched the Great Depression? Because clearly you haven't. There were three groups of people really in the Great Depression other than the uber rich. One was the people that had nothing. One was the people who were in debt and then were ultimately bankrupt. And then one was the people that had no debt and liquid assets. And that third category, no debt and liquid assets, did incredibly well during the Great Depression. One of my favorite stories is the guy who owned a hog farm. And he bought up more than 200 radio and telegraph stations during the Great Depression by trading a hog, a filthy swine, for the building and the infrastructure. One pig for your building, your antennas, your amplifiers, your accounts receivable, everything. And people were so desperate that they made that agreement. And this guy, over the course of a decade, ended up with 200 radio and telegraph stations for the price of a pig. No debt, liquid assets. Okay. So if you have debt, if you're in debt, they will figure, they're going to figure out how to get their pound of flesh. You're going to pay. Well, what about debt forgiveness? That's intentional to crash the economy. That's a different conversation. But pay down your debt. The primary reason you're going to pay down your debt is right now a large percentage of your income is going to service a debt load. And that takes money away from you that you can't then use to make the moves that you need to make to get off the hamster wheel, to become independent of the system, which is collapsing anyway. You don't want to collapse with the system. And if the system has its tendrils into you, its tentacles wrapped around your neck, as it's sinking, it's going to pull you under too. Next, food scarcity. This is pretty freaking straightforward here. Stack food to the rafters. Even now, prices may be going up, but food is still available. Praise the Father. And it's relatively inexpensive. Okay? Back in the day, I don't know if anybody here reads the Bible. I do occasionally. A denarius. A denarius. It's a man's wage. By the way, Canada, you super nice protesters, this is for you. There you go. Day's wage right here. 2 loaves of bread. So let's do the math. What's this, about $30 right now? $15 loaf of bread and $30 a day. That's what you're making. You do the math. That's pretty expensive bread. You're probably not going to really make many moves in life when a loaf of bread is $15 and you only make 2 loaves of bread per day. So right now, food is still relatively inexpensive. Is it expensive? Yes, but it's relatively inexpensive. Stack food to the rafters. Next move here is produce food. And produce food does a number of things for you. The first thing that it does is it augments the food that you have stacked. And frankly, the food that we have stacked, that's our last line of defense, not our first line of defense. Like, I'm going to eat sheep and tomatoes and peppers and onions out of my, and potatoes out of my garden. I'm going to have delicious salads that my wife makes with salad greens while I shoot roosters in the face and have a nice chicken salad, right? Like, that's what I'm going to do before I slit the miler on my beans and go, yummy, beans again, right? So food production, not only does it allow you to augment the food that you have stacked, but it also, if you do this at any scale, leads into a network of people that you produce food with regularly or irregularly, which can become your team, your tribe, your MAG, your mutual assistance group. Start a CSA, community supported agriculture, now, so that you get good at networking and good at making food now. And that produces income now that you can use to provide the things that you need to survive the inflation and the food scarcity and the economic collapse and the supply chain logistics and the civil unrest and the World War III and the blah, blah, blah. Now, make moves now. And then what happens? You have the infrastructure and the people in place post-event to allow you to continue to produce food and do the things together. Another thing for the entrepreneurial folks that are out there listening, and today's brief is a little bit different than usual. It's a little bit more tactical advice, strategic advice, rather than direct reporting, because as I've mentioned, the reporting sucks shit today. So, not on our end, on everybody else's end. For the entrepreneurial people, for the commanders, for the leaders out there, listen. Build you an infrastructure now that generates revenue now that is also useful if we have a full-blown economic collapse and everything goes to zero. I'll give you an example. Basic, easy example. Cut firewood. Why would I cut firewood? Cut firewood. Here's why. Right now, where I am, a cord of firewood's like $150. That's not very much. But within a half a day's drive, it's $500 a cord. Okay. And it costs about, if you're cutting it, it might cost you under $10 in fuel for a log splitter. Or if you're just beast mode, you can split it by hand yourself. Okay. Cut firewood. Now, post-event, you've got lots of firewood. You've got chainsaws, axes, hatchets, log splitters. Maybe you get so big, you got a firewood processor and a skid steer with a grapple on it. And you have a network of people as well. And you've got trucks and you've got logistics and you probably got fuel tanks to go with those trucks. And you've got trailers as well. And there might even be radios in those trucks that pull the trailers full of firewood. Right? And so post-event, the infrastructure exists. They can be very useful post-event. How about, again, community-supported agriculture? Well, I don't know. That doesn't seem like it's very expensive to get into. Is it? You can get a 10 by 20 greenhouse from Walmart.com for less than $300. Ask me how I know. You can start growing microgreens in there at $17 a pound with a 3-week turnaround on your harvest. And around here in the sticks, nobody cares about microgreens. But within a half a day's drive of here in the sticks, there's lots of fancy-ass people that go to fancy-ass restaurants that want little tiny arugula sprigs dropped on top of their, their standing rib roast or whatever. Cool. $17 a pound, homie. And
speaking of which, I gotta go back to town.
Go right ahead. Love you.
Free broccoli, cauliflower, and cabbage starts.
Nice. I'll see you later. So, thank you for the super chat, whoever that was. Frank Chupinka, Frank the Tank, good morning. So, right now, you make $17 a pound, turning 3,000 pounds over. What's that? $5,100 gross every 3 weeks, minus expenses. Probably $4,000-ish, $3,000 to $4,000-ish every 3 weeks turned over in your greenhouse that allows you to post-event grow food because you have all of the infrastructure, all the stuff, all of the moves. Like, it's easy. It's easy. Stop thinking tactically. What kind of weapons like should I put on my rifle? I don't give a shit. Does it work when you hit the button? Awesome. Who cares? See, amateurs argue tactics. Professionals are more concerned with strategy. And you, if you're going to make it long-term, doesn't matter what kind of weapons like you have. Doesn't matter, 5.56 versus 5.45 versus 7.62. Who cares? Who cares? If we're in a position where that really matters, we've done something wrong. And you, whoever you are listening to this right now, need to be thinking about, how do I get out of debt? How do I stack tangible assets? How do I stockpile food? How do I produce food? And how do I do all that in the context of a network, a team, a tribe, a mag? And what long-term infrastructure and skills can I develop now that will pay me now while there's still some fluff in the system that post-event will be incredibly useful to me after the fact? So, with that, I appreciate y'all. It's a happy Friday. We're doing a bucket promo at refugemedical.com. They're going to sell out. I've been telling y'all I've been doing a thing. I'm going to do a thing with the bucket. I'm doing the thing with the bucket. They're going to go out of stock. They're going to sell out. Use promo code BUCKET. You get $25 off 2 buckets. So you get 2 buckets, $25 off, promo code BUCKET. Because when I announce this to the general YouTube public, they're going to go out of stock. So the wound care bucket, refugemedical.com. Bear Fact 3.0s are in stock and shipping quick. We just got a shipment of red adventure bags, made in America adventure kit bags. So those are in stock, but not for very long. So if you've been looking for a red adventure kit, we've got those in stock. As always, you can use promo code BearNation for free shipping on everything in the store, but you can't use promo code Bucket and promo code BearNation at the same time. It won't work. So you have to do your bucket orders separate from everything else. You guys know the deal. You need a good first aid kit. That's why we started refugemedical.com. 33 lives saved to date. Don't slack on that. Invest in tangible assets. In addition, so many people. Bear, is there a training class in? Maybe. Refugetraining.com. Go look. We will teach you the fine art of how to not die. Level 1, stop the bleed situational awareness. Level 2, CPR and AED. Level 3, force on force. TCCC, TECC, Tactical Emergency Casualty Care. And this is not just for people who wear plate carriers for a living, who wear body armor for a living, who carry a gun on their hip for a living. This is for people. The number one cause of preventable death in the United States is uncontrolled bleeding in the 90th percentile. And statistically, the most dangerous thing we do as Americans is drive, which means if you have blood in you and you drive a vehicle, you need this class. And so if you're a soccer mom, awesome. If you're a cubicle dad, awesome. If you're a school principal or a bus driver or a truck driver or the trash man or the plumber, the electrician, the whatever, whatever you do, if there's blood in you and you drive a vehicle, you need this class. If there's blood in you and you drive a vehicle, you need these kits. I appreciate y'all. I pray you have a blessed weekend. I'm going to go drink water. Have a happy day. Shalom.